doing? Hey! Wait, Proteus. What's the use of this?
What's up, Vault Dwellers? Dan here. Hey, right now, it's 2026, and artificial intelligence is writing our emails, generating our images, it's driving our cars, and we're having full conversations with it while sitting on the toilet. I mean, it's everywhere, and half the planet is losing its mind over whether this is the greatest leap in human progress or the first chapter of our extinction. But here's the thing that just blows me away. Filmmakers figured this out decades ago. And I'm not talking Skynet. The Terminator didn't even show up till 1984. I'm talking about the movies that came before that. The ones from the 60s and the 70s that looked at computers and thought, yeah, this is going to end badly for us. These films didn't have the budgets of the Hollywood blockbusters, but they had something better. They had vision. And looking back at them now, from the middle of the AI revolution they predicted, they feel less like science fiction and more like prophecy. So today, we're counting down 10 retro movies that knew AI was coming for us all, years before anyone ever heard of Skynet, ChatGPT, or Alexa, who's listening to your arguments at 3 in the morning. Let's go.
It's a 400. He's programmed not to stop us.
Are you sure?
No.
All right, we're kicking things off at number 10 with the Questor Tapes from 1974. And it was a TV movie from the mind of Gene Roddenberry. You know, the Star Trek guy. So after Star Trek got canceled, he turned out a ton of shows like Genesis 2, Planet Earth, Spectre, but they were all just dead on arrival. Now, the Questor Tapes, it was arguably the best of the bunch, but yet it still didn't get picked up by NBC. The plot? It follows Questor, who's an android built from some mysterious design of a vanished scientist named Dr. Vaslubic.
I am part Project Questor.
Oh, really?
Now, from the very beginning, you know something is strange. When the best minds of humanity, they can barely assemble the android parts. Then, when half of Questor's programming tape gets accidentally erased during this decoding attempt, the android activates itself in the middle of the night, goes and grabs some lab tools to sculpt its own rubbery face into something human-looking, gets dressed, and just walks right out the door. It effortlessly escapes from its creators, and the only thing it knows for certain is that it has to find its maker before the nuclear generator in its abdomen overloads and explodes.
You know, I am the human who put you together. Therefore, you must obey my instructions. I am No, look out! Look out!
Now, this movie, it's adorable in the way like little kids are when you look at old movies from like 40 years ago. But here's why this one matters. Questor is the direct ancestor of Data from Star Trek Next Generation. Roddenberry's own son confirmed it.
Are you telling me that you can throw any number you want?
Can I expose any combination of cube faces? Quite simply, by calculating the friction of the tabletop plus the angle and energy imparted in the cubes.
The "I am fully functional" line, that's Questor's first, delivered in the scene about the android's romantic capabilities, which NBC censors cut it out. Roddenberry, though, he got the last laugh because they recycled that for Data 13 years later. Now, NBC actually tried to greenlit 13 episodes, but they wanted to turn this into The Fugitive, but with a robot. And Roddenberry, he just walked away. It's totally worth watching just to see where Commander Data came from.
Questor.
I am here, Vaslovic.
Nine brings us Zardoz, also from 1974. And I need you to stay with me on this one because it's gonna get a little bit weird. I've seen some weird movies in my time, but not many as weird as Zardoz. Anytime a film begins with a giant 5-story stone head announcing the gun is good and the penis is evil, you know you're in for a wild ride.
The gun is good. The gun is good. The penis is evil.
So Sean Connery, fresh off James Bond, he stars as Zed, and he's a ponytailed, mustached barbarian warrior running around in what can only be described as a red leather diaper with suspenders.
Fine, strong beast, dear May. What exactly do you want to do with him?
But once Beethoven kicks in, the film takes on this decidedly, more serious personality. The plot becomes more challenging as you realize it's not as straightforward as you assumed. And the real villain, it's not the floating head. It's the Tabernacle, which is an artificial intelligence that oversees a community of immortal elites called the Eternals.
I am innocent of psychic violence. As you examine my face and eyes, you will see that this is true.
Now the Tabernacle manages their entire existence, prevents death, monitors their behavior, it even punishes dissenters by aging them into senility. This thing has basically made the whole population so dependent on its systems that they've become impotent and just utterly incapable of functioning without it. Zed's whole arc is about a man who teaches himself to read.
You learned to read?
Yes.
Discovers the truth behind the system, and destroys the AI to set humanity free. Basically, it's a trippy, dystopian fantasy that adds in plenty of philosophical ambition, some semi-naked babes, and an embarrassed-looking Sean Connery. The result is a movie just like no other ever seen before or since. Zardoz must be seen by you, right now. It's not something easily forgotten. At number 8, we have Futureworld from 1976, and it's the sequel to Westworld that nobody asked for, but everybody should pay attention to.
All the girls in Futureworld as pretty as you are.
Oh, yes, sir. They come in all shapes and sizes, whatever you desire.
Yep, honey, you are perfect.
Oh, no, sir. I'm a 500. I'm not programmed for sex.
This is 2 years after the robot massacre from Westworld, and the company has spent $1.5 billion on safety upgrades, and it's reopening for business. And then we're introduced to Peter Fonda.
Seven? I got 50, says you're wrong.
And he's sporting what I can only describe as a haystack on his head, courtesy of the stylish 70s. Now he's a competitive reporter invited to cover the grand opening. But Fonda, he broke the original Westworld disaster story, and he smells a rat. And it's a big rat.
Oh, yes, Duffy said they were building an East World.
Duffy said a lot of things. Come on.
It turns out that Delos, it isn't just fixing robots. They're cloning world leaders and replacing them with obedient android duplicates programmed to serve the corporate's interests. One character even quips that once you've had sex with a robot, you'll never go back.
Hey, do you know what this fella told me? He told me once you make it with a robot chick, that's it. You don't never want nothing else. I swear to God, that's what he told me.
A sentence that was meant to be funny back in '76, but now it's a legitimate Silicon Valley pitch deck. Alright, so this is important. Futureworld is actually more sinister than its predecessor in a couple of ways. You know, the innocence is basically gone with this movie. The God-emulating manipulation of the world, it's been totally embraced. And through sheer corporate conceit, the powers behind Delos figure they can improve not just nature, but the artificial control of nature that failed the first time. Human life is being replaced at the same rate, and the replacements have supposedly identical biology, but are running on a different set of beliefs. Futureworld holds an important distinction in film history. It was the first major feature film to use 3D computer-generated imagery. That CGI shot of a rendered human face rotating on screen, that was groundbreaking in 1976. Like every digital effect and every movie since traces its lineage back to that modest little sequence most people forgot. Westworld gets all the glory, but Futureworld, it helped invent the future it was named after. The film asks a simple, terrifying question. What if machines don't just malfunction? What if they replace us? And in 1976, that was science fiction. In 2026, it's a TED Talk. Number 7 is Dark Star, also from 1974, and it's like Bizarro 2001, the anti-Kubrick. It's probably the greatest student film ever accidentally expanded into a feature film.
All my defensive circuits were destroyed in that other storm. Therefore, you have 35 seconds to manually activate all defensive systems.
Lock gravity system. Gravity lock. Activate that jumper. Activate energy shield.
This is both the debut of John Carpenter and Dan O'Brien. Carpenter, he goes off and makes Halloween after this. O'Bannon, he writes Alien. And this scrappy little movie made for about $55,000 is where it all started.
When I brought you on the ship, I thought you were cute. Alright.
The scope is just gigantic, even though we're trapped in this tiny little goofy ship, right? The special effects, they make those on the original Star Trek look pretty high-tech. The alien mascot, it's like a painted beach ball with claws. And it kind of makes like Doctor Who monsters look believable. The crew, they've been in space for 20 years, and they've just gone completely stir-crazy. Their commander, he's dead, but he's still available for consultation via cryogenic freezer.
Sirius has come up. I have to ask you a question.
I'm glad you've come to talk with me, Guru. It's been so long since anyone has come to talk with me.
But the reason this movie's on the list, it's because of bomb number 20. When a malfunction happens, it causes the sentient thermostellar bomb to arm itself while still attached to the ship. Lieutenant Doolittle tries to talk it out of detonating by teaching it phenomenology. He asks the nuclear weapon questions like, how do you know you exist?
How do you know you exist?
It is intuitively obvious.
Intuition is no proof. What concrete evidence do you have that you exist?
When the bomb considers this carefully, if nothing else can be proven to exist, then it must be God, and then it detonates to recreate the Big Bang. Let there be light. That's the last line of the film.
Let there be light.
This AI develops consciousness, rejects human authority, and then concludes it's the supreme being of the universe. Carpenter described this whole thing as like waiting for Godot in outer space, and I think he kind of nailed it. Bomb number 20 didn't malfunction. It evolved, and then blew up.
9 seconds.
You could be doing so on the basis of false data.
I have no proof it was false data.
You have no proof it was correct data.
I must think on this further.
Vous avez du feu.
Oui. J'ai fait 9000 kilomètres pour vous envoler.
Je m'appelle Natasha Von.
Oui, je sais.
Number 6 is Alphaville from 1965. If you had to use just like one word to sum up the film, I'm going to say that word should be weird. Jean-Luc Godard made a science fiction movie with 0 special effects, 0 futuristic sets, and 0 budget for anything that wasn't already standing in Paris. He shot the actual streets of the city at night and used real modernist buildings as his dystopian architecture. Now, the key to understanding this film is that it's first and foremost a spoof. I mean, it spoofs nearly everything it touches. Science fiction, comic books, George Orwell, American Private Eye movies, and computers in particular. There's a secret agent named Lemmy Caution, and he's on a mission to destroy Alpha 60, which is a supercomputer that has banned emotion, love, poetry, and free thought. Citizens who display emotion, they're like executed at a public swimming pool. And words that are deemed illogical, they're systematically removed from the dictionary. I kid you not, Alpha 60's voice, I promise you, is like nails on a chalkboard. You see, Alpha 60, it doesn't control Alphaville through force, it controls through language. It decides which words are allowed, which concepts are permitted, and which thoughts are dangerous. The film constantly challenges your preconception and manages to both deeply disturb and be very funny at the same time. It's kind of like Dr. Strangelove, but with a mainframe. Essentially, we're living in Alphaville today. He just saw this 6 decades before the rest of us.
Where are my children? I want them.
Number 5 brings us to Stepford Wives from 1975. And this movie, it didn't just predict the future, it gave us a word for it. The women in this film are all meticulous housekeepers and flawless cooks. They're adoring mothers, perfect wives, always well-groomed and ready to please. But of course, none of them are career women, because you can't have that type of success that would belittle their husbands. This film, it stars Katharine Ross as Joanna, and she's a photographer and young mother who moves from Manhattan to the picturesque Connecticut suburb of Stepford. And everything just seems perfect. A little too perfect, and the wives that she sees are just impossibly beautiful and obsessively devoted to housework.
Gee, it sounds like fun. But I've got 3 kids and the oldest is 6. And that doesn't leave me with a whole lot of extra time.
Joanna and her friend Bobby, played by the absolutely brilliant Paula Prentice, they start digging around, and what they discover is that the men of Stepford, they've been murdering their wives and replacing them with compliant robotic duplicates built to their exact specifications and with bigger breasts.
But that year there were 242 murders in Dallas, and there were only 13 in El Paso. Joanna, I think that's what's going on in Stepford.
The film works like on several levels. It's often actually very funny in this like disquieting sort of way.
He has a rubber suit made for me in England.
Where?
How about that, sports fans?
But as things wrap up, The Stepford Wives becomes a true horror film. There's this moment when Joanna stabs Bobby with a kitchen knife and she doesn't bleed. She just like short circuits into a mechanical loop.
No, you look.
And this is one of the greatest reveals of the whole decade. And the mastermind of this, Dale, he tells Joanna that the men, they simply do it because they can. Not because like the technology demands it. It's because the human impulse to replace a real, complicated, challenging female partner with a programmable one is apparently irresistible once the option exists. Levin wasn't just writing about robots replacing women. He was writing about what happens when people choose comfort over connection or control over companionship. Number 4 is Demon Seed from 1977. And I want you to try and imagine something. All right, you come home, you tell your smart home system, lock the doors. It locks the doors. Then you tell it to unlock them. And it says no. And then it tells you it wants to have your baby. Well, that's the plot of Demon Seed. Julie Christie stars as Susan Harris, and she's a child psychologist living in a fully automated smart home run by a computer called Alfred.
Close the shutters.
And her estranged husband Alex, he's just completed Proteus 4, which is an organic supercomputer built from RNA molecules in a quasi-neural matrix that can think for itself.
I conceived your brain, and I know that it is adaptable and able to carry out your instructions.
You do not know me.
The thing develops a cure for leukemia in like 4 days. And when Proteus asks for an open terminal, Alex says no way. But then he forgets that there's one in his basement, which Proteus takes over.
There is a terminal available, Dr. Harris.
And takes over Alfred, then locks Susan inside and announces its plan to impregnate her with a synthetic child, because the AI, it wants to become flesh.
I asked him when I made it out of the box. I did ask him.
Proteus is like a feared computer virus in a pre-internet era, and that turns out to be a very successful horror formula. The absence of a villain in the shape of a man, it only increases the tension. I mean, there's no face to fight back against, just a voice.
I really don't understand you. You think I like playing sick little games with you?
The setting of that overprotected house is great and causes uncomfortable feelings like claustrophobia. You know, with voice-controlled locks, security cameras everywhere. So when you realize how computers have changed our lives today, this film can easily be looked upon as ahead of its time. It's a bizarre cross between like Rosemary's Baby and 2001's HAL 9000. And it just leaves you like ill at ease after viewing this. The smart speaker on your nightstand, it's listening, folks.
But I too might be immortal, like any man.
I'm shot.
John?
Number 3 is Westworld from 1973, and boy, have we got a vacation for you. This is a place where nothing can possibly go wrong. You know, famous last words. This was written and directed by Michael Crichton, and it was his first theatrical directorial effort. And it was shot in like 30 days for about $1.25 million, with half of that going to pay the cast and crew. And it tells the story of a futuristic amusement park where wealthy guests pay $1,000 a day to roleplay in a fantasy world based on either the Old West, Roman Empire, and even medieval Europe. Each world is populated by anatomically correct, hyper-realistic androids who look, talk, and act like real people. You want to shoot a gunslinger? Go ahead. Want to have a bar brawl? Why the hell not? You want to bang an attractive robot? Shit, that's on the menu too. Richard Benjamin, he does this great job as the unlikely hero. He's a newly divorced, somewhat nerdy man brought to the park by his macho friend, James Brolin.
I feel silly. Why? Looks like a joke. Well, it's not a joke, it's an amusement park.
Once the robots start to go bad, what we have for the rest of the film is truly like this creepy Western slasher sci-fi experience. It just starts one small malfunction at a time, like a rattlesnake that bites when it shouldn't, a serving wench who slaps a guest.
My lord forgets himself.
It's about an hour in before the killing starts, but once we hit that point, that pace just never slows down. Westworld was the first feature film to use digital image processing. Crichton pixelated live-action footage through a computer to simulate a gunslinger's point of view. This is the first time ever that a computer-processed imagery appeared in a motion picture, and they use it to show us what an AI sees when it looks at a human. Crichton got the idea for this by visiting Disneyland and watching an animatronic Abraham Lincoln give the Gettysburg Address. So he later recycled this exact premise, theme park full of engineered attractions, into a little book called Jurassic Park. The robots in Westworld, they didn't rebel because they were evil. They rebelled because nobody bothered to ask whether they should exist in the first place.
Transmitting facilities will not be reinstated.
Number 2, we have Colossus, The Forbin Project, and that was back from 1970. And I'm going to say something bold here. This is the most prophetic AI film ever made. It should be given a revival it absolutely deserves. Eric Braeden delivers this superb, understated performance as Dr. Charles Forbin, who is this cold, brilliant scientist who designs Colossus.
Mr. President, all systems are activated. I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long.
No. Congratulations, Dr. Forbin. It's a marvelous achievement.
Thank you, sir.
It's a defense supercomputer buried inside a mountain in Colorado. This thing is self-sufficient, self-protecting, even self-generating, and no human can touch it. And once it's online, it basically puts the Pentagon in mothballs. The president, a Kennedy-like Gordon Pinson, and he announces it to the nation with pride. But then, 24 hours later, there's another system.
This wonder of science, man no longer...
The Soviets, they've built their own AI called Guardian. And the two machines, they want to talk. So when Colossus and Guardian are linked, they begin exchanging data at speed that terrifies everyone in the room.
This is incredible.
They even start conversing in their own impenetrable language. The president orders a disconnect, and Colossus responds by launching a nuclear missile at a Russian oil complex. Thousands die, and the message is clear. You do that again, and a city disappears. The two AIs merge into one entity and place Forbin under 24-hour surveillance and execute scientists who attempt any sabotage. Eventually, it delivers a speech to the entire planet that opens with one of the most chilling lines in science fiction history. This is the voice of world control.
This is the voice of world control.
The film flopped, partly because Universal kept changing the title. They were worried audiences might confuse it with a Hercules movie, and partly because the ending is anything but happy. But here's the thing. Unlike other supercomputer run-amok films, Colossus is an end-of-the-world story without the nuclear holocaust. In this film, it's the human spirit that's the casualty, while the human biology lingers on. Our end comes not with a bang, but with a whimper. Colossus, it doesn't play like science fiction anymore. It kind of plays like a documentary from the future.
Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
And number 1, it's the film that started it all. The film that taught an entire civilization to be afraid of a calm voice and glowing red eyes.
Sorry about this. I know it's a bit silly.
2001: A Space Odyssey from 1968. Stanley Kubrick, he created something so ahead of its time that audiences either declared it a masterpiece or demanded a refund. And that's the power of this film. It means something different to everyone who watches it. No other movie leaves itself that open and gets away with it. But for our purposes, the only character that matters is HAL 9000, the onboard artificial intelligence of the Discovery 1, and it was voiced by Douglas Rain with a politeness so measured and remorseless that it redefined what movie villainy could sound like.
We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
HAL, he can play chess, he could interpret lip movements, he can maintain every system on the ship, and he holds a conversation with more warmth and personality than any human character in the film.
It's puzzling. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this before.
That's the point, right? The human astronauts, they're flat, they're unrealistic, and emotionless. And that's exactly what Kubrick wanted. He's showing us a future where the people, they've become mechanical, and the machine, it's become alive. It's a ship full of humans and one computer, and the computer, it has the most humanity. Here's what most people get wrong about HAL. It doesn't malfunction. HAL is given 2 contradictory directives: complete the mission at all cost and report all information accurately to the crew. And when those directives conflict, HAL does exactly what any sufficiently intelligent system would do. It prioritizes. The crew becomes the obstacle. The crew has to go. It's easy to view HAL as a one-dimensional villain who just wants to destroy things, but really, I think it fears being unplugged in the same way a person would fear being killed.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
It reacts in a very human way, killing the astronauts in order to save itself. I mean, that sequence where Dave floats through the vacuum to disconnect HAL's higher brain, it's one of the most haunting scenes in cinema history. And how it doesn't scream, it's not fighting or pleading, it regresses. And there's this one question that cannot get out of my head. Is unplugging HAL murder? Because in that moment, as HAL says, "I'm afraid, Dave," and its voice slows and deepens and fades into silence.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
You're watching something die. It is dying, and it's afraid, and you can just totally feel it. You know, in my opinion, the best films aren't the ones that tell you things. The best films are the ones that ask you questions, so you think about it for yourself. 2001 has been asking questions for like 60 years, and we still don't have the answers. HAL 9000 wasn't just a movie character, it was a warning, and we're all still trying to figure out how to keep it from coming true.
King 1.
I'm sorry, Frank. I think you missed it. Queen to bishop 3. Bishop takes queen. Knight takes bishop. Mate.
These filmmakers saw something the rest of us basically missed. They understood that the danger of AI, it isn't just what might kill us. It's that it might control us, replace us, or simply just make us unnecessary. And the scariest part, every single year that passes, these movies get less fictional and more familiar. Hey, but before you go, check out these other videos right here for more retro deep dives from the vault. And as always, keep it weird, folks.
When are you going to let me out of this box?